Now, can somebody tell me if I'm live? Because can I get thumbs up if you can hear me? What's up, do the math? Okay, I am live. I thought it was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. Is it 5 o'clock already? It's not 5 o'clock. So I don't know how this thing popped in by itself. I must have hit the wrong button. Y'all give me 1 second because I got to get my notes for this thing right here. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be live already, but I don't want to end it. So y'all speak to each other for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see here. Now I'm able to talk to you guys. I hope you can hear me because I'm headed back in the house to get a few things because was not supposed to be live until 5 o'clock. But of course, you know, my hands be fumbling. So I'm sure I hit the wrong thing. But at any rate, we're gonna keep it moving because that's how we do it. Making this thing up as we go. So how's everybody doing today? I know y'all probably like, well, where is he? I'm coming back. 1 second. There he is right there. Okay, here we go. So let's see who's in the chat. Let me see if I go back to the top and see who I missed so far. All right, do the math. What's going on, do the math? Appreciate you for coming in. Let me see if I can pull this thing a little closer to me. Now, you already know that I'm always doing a little bit of experimenting. All right. Aya Bags, thank you for coming in. Mike's Chaotic Gardening, what's up, my brother? Yard Man Garden, thank you for coming in. What's going on, my brother Broke? Broke Farmer is in the building. G Mama Grows, what's going on? I think I'm getting the hang of this now. Man, what are you talking about, Broke? It's feeling good out here today, but that's the trick right there, because we're supposed to be down into the teens on Monday, so that's all the trick right there. But what I have done is I come out here and I watered the entire garden down, soaked it down real well, because that gives the garden a good insulation. So when that cold does come, we'll kind of hover around that 30, 32 mark. So that's one of the things you can do there. It's been a absolute, matter of fact, the last 2 days have been beautiful. Mike's Chaotic Gardening, what's going on? Leon knows, I think that's what that is. Vicky Westland, thank you for coming in. Let's see here. I'll give a few more people a chance to come in before we get going here. Let's see here. What's going on, neighbors? G-Mama be on it with the neighbors. I gotta make sure that I stay on that as well. How's everybody doing today? Matter of fact, let's get some zones and some temperature checks. What's the zones you're in and the temperatures? Now, you know, last time we had issues with our lights. Well, I'm not even gonna say issues. We just kind of was trying to figure out a better way to do our lights. And this time, I think I've gotten a little better situation. So I'm gonna play with this for a little while, just to kind of, I'm kind of really feeling this new light system that I got. I can go up or down with the light. where we're gonna keep this thing nice and low as we get into the evening, because remember our concept is lights out live. We got our YouTube light right here. That's courtesy of YouTube. So I just got that in the other day. Really excited about having that. That's an official YouTube light. We got our lanterns. Let me see if I can point at those. We got our lanterns down there. Let me see if I can make sure I get them in, because the lanterns are our key to say that the light's out and we're live. So as the lanterns come on, my YouTube light's already on. So let's see what we got going on here. Live chat, top chat. So we got live chat going here. Growing what I eat. What's going on, my brother? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. I see on this, I got my iPad down here at the bottom, so I see I'm gonna have to, like, every now and again refresh it to make sure that I stay up with the chat. But I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm out here, like I said, I think it's somewhere around 60 some degrees right now, but it's feeling really good. Of course, you know, I've been getting quite a few messages about the 18-day composting challenge. That has probably been one of my most requested videos slash activities that I've had on the channel, all the way over from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, as well as here on YouTube. So what we're gonna do is we're finna make this thing official. One of the things that we kind of slacked on last year was the fact that we waited I waited all the way up until spring before we got to gathering our items that we need in order to get the 18-day composting going. So what we're doing today is we're talking about the carbon bank, or putting something in the bank. In order to have something in the bank, you can withdraw. So what happened last year, we learned from, and if you don't have anything in the bank, guess what? You can't get anything out of the bank. So that's what we're calling this today. It's our 18-day composting challenge. It's the start of it. But what we're calling this is what's in the bank. And this is what we're doing today. We're putting something in the bank. So I don't know why this chat keeps stopping on me. Let me see here. Somebody put some thumbs up in there if they're hearing me pretty well. Let me get some thumbs up. Matter of fact, you see that little button on the side right there with the 100s and all that? There you go, some thumbs up. Thank you. Y'all hit that little thing on the side over here that shows the 100 or the hearts or all that, because that's what helps YouTube share the videos out when you're live. So that's something that we want to make sure that we stay up on top of. Not necessarily the thumbs up to your name, but the thumbs up. There's a little box over here on the side of your chat, and you're going to see hearts, 100, and things like that. There you go. There you go. That's what registers when you're looking at your analytics. Those hearts and those 100s are going to register on your analytics, and that's what helps YouTube share out your live. So I appreciate all the thumbs up over in the the chat, but make sure that you hit that 100 or thumbs up or hearts, whatever that is, over on this side of the chat right here, because that is what actually pushes the lives. So like I said, we're trying to get into this thing. But again, we're talking about the 18-day composting. And right now we have, let's see, 41 people in here. We're gonna wait a little while before we get in. What's going on, David Corey with the crops? What's up, my brother? Mary Grow with me. What's going on, Mary Grows with me? I think this is your first time in one of my lives, if I'm not mistaken. James Z3C, thank you for coming in. Growing What I Eat is speaking. Shanetta, what's going on, Shanetta? Thank you for coming in. Dave Busby, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Made by Tammy Sherrill. What's going on, baby sis? That's my baby sis, made by Tammy Sherrill. Now, we usually do this thing with her moderating the audio on it, but I've been kind of liking this whole, even though the YouTube live platform doesn't have all the bells and whistles as the StreamYard, I'm just trying to keep it simple while I learn this thing, and as I get comfortable with it, we'll go back over to StreamYard and we'll start playing around with that a little bit more. But right now, like I said, we just getting to the crux of what it is that we come to do, and we're talking about the garden. I don't need all those bells and whistles just to talk about the garden. But made by Tammy Sherrill, you can go in and control the pinned comments, or one of my other moderators may be able to do that as well. Just control the pinned comments that are going up over there on the side. I'll really appreciate you on that. So again, how's everybody doing today, and what are those temperatures in your neighborhoods while we let a few more people get in here? But it's doing good. Mike's Chaotic Garden is welcoming. Mary Grows With Me. Oh, she says Mary Grows With Me says she was in the first live and loved it. I thank you, Mary. Thank you very much for that. 88 in Dallas. That's David Corey with the crops here. It's 88 in Dallas. Man, y'all, whoo, boy, that's like summertime. Man. But I guess that works against you sometimes, though, so we have to be mindful of how that temperature works with us in the summertime, because y'all catch it out there. What's that? Danny Nicole says she's gathering seeds for springs all winter long. That's right. Okay. Pamela say cold in Massachusetts. Brr. That's what Pamela says. Let's see. The Jamaican Gardener, NYC 40, possibly snow. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on down here. Carrie Buster 63 right now. Paulding County, Georgia. Oh, that's a neighbor, right? That's a for show neighbor there. Paulding County, is that Griffin, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken? I think Paulding County is Griffin. That's Paulding or Spalding. I think Paulding is Griffin. Let me know if I'm correct on that. Go Dogs. That's right, G Mama. Go Dogs. That's what I should have wore. I should have wore my red and white out here today. Represent them dogs. Let's see. Odom's Homestead. What's going on, my brother? Thank you for coming in. GT Grows It, Alaska. What time is it over there where you at, GT? And what's your temperature? Doing the quarter with the crops. Let's see here. So again, what we're talking about today is we getting in, oh, Dallas, Georgia. So that's, okay, Dallas, Georgia. Okay. That's, let's see what's up in Dallas, Georgia. Okay, that's where all the carpet mills used to be at. I'm not sure if all the carpet mills are still up that way up in Dallas, Georgia. James Z3C, Odom, what's up? He's speaking to Odoms. GT Jr. giving Mike's the powwow. Mary Grows With Me is speaking to Odoms and fam. So, once again, we're talking about our 18-day composting challenge that we're going to be getting into. And let me see if I turn this light on. Let me see if this light will kind of keep us maintained the entire time. How's the lighting, if anybody could tell me? Paperboy 2834 said Atlanta, Georgia. What's going on? What's going on? Okay. Miss Andy, Illinois, and she said it's 12 degrees. Uh-oh. Let's see. Carol Wilson, North Central Arkansas, 17. Yeah, I think we're gonna be competing with that 17. I think Monday we're supposed to get down 19, maybe into the teens. So we're gonna have to do a little protecting I'm gonna cover my collards up that time, because once those collars get down, okay. Uh, Carrie says the lighting is great. All right. So y'all see my YouTube little light in the backdrop right there. Yeah. So I had to, I don't know if, were y'all feeling the little fire flame thing that I had back there last time? Or are we cool with the YouTube light right there? Or should I go and bring the fire flame back in? Let me know on that. We're trying to make this thing to where everybody's feeling comfortable. Just gonna be kicking back. I'm at home by myself today. Nobody to rescue me. So y'all know how the wife usually does. David Corey said the flame. Okay, I'm kind of feeling that too, David. I'm gonna tell you right off the rip, because I was looking back through there, and as that light goes down, we'll definitely be able to tell, and those other lanterns start to come on. But I think the flame is also, y'all give me, remember, this is the one I want y'all to reply with, the one over here. So if y'all like the flame or the YouTube light in the backdrop, y'all give me a 100 over here, a 100 over here. Not in your chat, but a 100 over here. Just click the 100 over there, or some thumbs up over here. I think that's the side that it's on. So Mike's Chaotic Garden says do both. Digging in the dirt with Tamika D. What's going on? What's going on? Hanging out the window, but made it home. That's what's going on. All right. Both would be good. All right. So we're going to see if we can make that happen. Y'all give me a minute. Like I said, I can walk away from you and still keep talking. So y'all just bear with me for 1 second. The light's not going to come on anyway until the sun gets down. But I think I'm in agreement with everybody in saying that the fire flame lantern in the background works a little better than YouTube. YouTube shows a brother's status, but we want this thing to be real cool out here. So, and I'm in my work boots today. The wifey got me some, hey bro, wifey got me some real work boots. I tell you, boy, you know you really into that garden where everybody bring you gifts for your birthday and things of that nature, and it's starting to be things for the garden. I don't get regular gifts anymore. Slow jams, what's going on? Slow jams. Yeah, the wifey with us Tractor Supply. That's her thing, Tractor Supply. We've been knocking the doors down at Tractor Supply lately. So the flame reflects your chill spirit we all love. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, Carol Wilson. Thank you, thank you. And that's really what I'm trying to do with this whole thing. You know what? Let me see. We might even take the YouTube thing out all the way. Let's see, separate them at least. We'll see what it looks like as the other lights kick in, and we'll see if it even fits into the backdrop. Yeah, Broke is in the building. That's right, 74 degrees in Florida. Leon says it's 74 degrees, and man, so we competing with you right now, Leon. I see somebody speaking to Nikki. I didn't see. Okay, what's going on, Nick? The OCDist chick. Y'all switching y'all names up, so I'll be having to look twice at the screen before I get this thing going. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So as people come in, that'll be cool. But of course, remember, the lights out is when this live officially starts. We just kind of gibbering right now, speaking to everybody, letting everybody get in the room. The whole concept of the live that I'm trying to do, or that I would like to do, is what we're calling Lights Out Live. When the lights go out, the lanterns come on, that's when we get down to business. So as the growing season gets back and everybody's out in their garden, we're not going to be interfering with anybody's garden work. We'll move our times back. We'll move it to a certain day, maybe that what everybody else is not doing their lives on, so as that we not to run into each other. But what we're talking about today is our 18-day composting challenge. And a part of that 18-day composting challenge is our carbon bank. What do you have in the bank? Now, what are some things, like I said, we'll just touch on it right away. What's going on, Nikki, the OCD-ish chick? What are some things that we can collect this time of the year that will benefit us when we start doing our 18-day composting? What are some things, and we like to do the question and answer over here because it's not all about me. What are some things that we can be collecting right now that can carry us, in other words, putting our carbons, because that's what we're focused on right now, carbons. We know greens are not really available right now, but the greens will start to come up as everything starts to green up in the garden when spring hits. G-Bomber hits it right. Leaves, David Corey hit it right, leaves. Digging in the dirt with Tamika D said leaves, leaves. Coffee grounds, actually coffee grounds is a green. Uh, Danny, I guess that's Danny. Yeah, coffee grounds would be considered a green. As crazy as that sounds, they're brown, but they are green. Paper towels, OCD is chick, says paper towels. Mulch, fresh tree tops. Mulch, yeah, the woods, any type of wood mulch. Paper, David Corey says paper. Cardboard, David Corey says cardboard. One of the things that makes this 18-day composting really work to your advantage is what I like to call decomposition 101. Decomposition 101 is basically where you say the smaller the particle size, the faster decomposition. That is just inherent on anything that you're doing in the garden. So that's one of the things why when you see me even adding my alfalfa to my garden beds, you'll see me put it in my coffee grinder and then I'll spread it out in the garden as opposed to putting the pellets out in the garden as I see a lot of other people doing. The pellets are good. They're going to break down eventually. They're going to wet and swell up and then they'll eventually break down. But when you break those pellets up, you're increasing the surface mass on those pellets, which means that the bacteria and the fungi can break them down faster, which is going to be that you'll get the cycle of the nutrients in the alfalfa pellets that much faster. So smaller particle size, the faster decomposition. What's going on, Bougie Prepper? Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Auntie's World. Kitchen scraps, shredded mail. That's right, Auntie's World says kitchen scraps and shredded mail. Lynette Lawrence, thank you for coming in, appreciate it. What we're talking about now, like I said, for those who are just coming in the room, are some things that we can gather right now. And that's what we're calling this, the carbon bank. What can we put in the bank right now that we can withdraw from in the spring? And that's going to be our carbons, which are our browns. Somebody said earlier, coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are the color brown, but coffee grounds are technically a green because they are a nitrogen source. So you wouldn't call coffee grounds as a brown. Stove or fireplace ash, absolutely. Carrie D, we're just going to say Carrie D. Carrie D says stove or coffee or fireplace ash. Fireplace ash is absolutely great. Actually, that's the best time to incorporate the ash into your compost because it has the microbes, gives a chance to break that down and evenly distribute that without, made by Tammy Sherrill, the carbon bank. That is what we're talking about today. Stove or coffee ash. Let's see, wood ash. David Corey says wood ash, absolutely. And what we're going to do on our next live, we're going to be talking about how to use how to use our wood ash in the garden without raising the pH of our soil. It's a way that you can mix that, and I'm not going to give it away. You're going to have to be in the live in order to see it. That's going to be on our next Lights Out Live. We're going to be talking about how to use wood ash in the garden. And if you're growing garlic, David Corey, you got garlic everywhere. This is going to be a good tip for you, how to keep from raising that pH and keeping the other nutrients from being able to uptake into that garlic. You can use your wood ash. It's a certain thing you can do with it to keep that pH down lower. We're going to bring our pH meter out and we're going to do some testing with it to show you what we start with our pH, which on our wood ash is going to be somewhere around a 12 to 13. And then we're going to bring that pH down to somewhere around slightly acidic in our 6.5 range, where our garlic is going to receive it pretty well. Let's see, David Core with the crop growing GWIE, you said it. Okay, pine straw. Pine straw, yeah, pine straw takes a little longer to break down, believe it or not. So I don't use pine straw in my compost. Remember, now if we're talking about the average everyday composting process, pine straw would be good because you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months that you're going to be allowing that pile to heat up, cool down, and then it goes to its maturation state, which is the state of maturity. But if we're talking about 18-day composting, we only want to use those things that are going to break down the fastest. The smaller particle size and the fastest. That's what we're looking for in our 18-day composting. So even with our leaves, we want to do something like grind the leaves. Okay, made by Tammy Sorrell says she's not able to pin the comments for some reason. I don't know, like I said, you know, I'm using YouTube's live, so I'm not sure about that. Mulch. I like to use the mulch. You talking about wood mulch, David? David Core with the crop, or are you talking about wood mulch? My favorite use is rice bowls. That's right, G Mama. That's a good one. Very inexpensive. OCD is chick. Is posting growing out the box shopping. Thank you, thank you. Now, can someone go over to growingoutthebox.com, Tammy, made by Tammy Sherrill, can you go over to growingoutthebox.com and post the link for our check sheet that we're gonna have for our composting challenge? And I'm gonna just go briefly over, like I said, we're not getting into the chat until the lights come on. That's Lights Out Live. So what we're doing is, it's done. Okay, yeah, just keep posting that throughout the live to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to download that check sheet, because in order for you to participate in the 18-day composting challenge, you're going to have to be able to follow the check sheet. Anybody is able to do this. We're going to do it to where we're going to walk through this thing together. We're going to troubleshoot it together. We're going to, again, 18-day composting. So we're going to do it slightly different than the average composting, which is we're looking for more smaller particle size. And one of the things that I found works, what's going on, Angela Calloway? Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate that. Tam, see if you can make Angela Calloway a moderator. Like I said, but again, we want the smallest particle size because that's going to be the fastest way to compost. When does the challenge start? The challenge officially starts today, because what we're doing today is collecting. This is what we're calling the carbon bank. So technically it starts today, but officially we won't start until spring. But what I did last year was I waited till spring to start talking about gathering our browns. And of course, all the browns are raked up. People have cleaned their yards up. The leaves are disposed of or done something else with. So nobody really had the leaves in abundance that we really need to have a good composting process. So I said, I'm going to start earlier this year. We're going to give everybody a heads up. We're going to give them the check sheet to make sure that they're prepared. And then once spring comes around, we'll set the official start date, and we're going to all start this thing on the same date. We're going to go for our 4 days of allowing the pile to heat up. And then every day for the next 14 days, because it's an 18-day composting, so we're going to do 4 days allowing the pile to heat up. And then for the next 14 days of the challenge, we'll be turning our pile every day. Now, yes, that is labor intensive, but for those who are, have mobility issues, we already thought about that. You can have someone help you. So this is not about, just who can make the best pile. I'm gonna say that again. It's not about who can make the best pile. It's not about whose compost is the best. This is a participation challenge. If you go through the whole check sheet and you have all your markers checked on the check sheet, at the end of the challenge, you get entered into our 5 winners. You get entered into the pot and chosen from our 5 winners. The thing that I like to do is just encourage people to try new things. And I don't want to get this to a point to where simply because you may think that you can't do it as well as somebody else, or somebody may have a little more experience than you doing it, that you feel like it's no need of you even trying to compete. This is, once again, a participation challenge, the 18-day composting challenge. That's right, made by Tammy Sherrills, just posted it in the room again. Cheryl, hey, she's saying hey to growing out the box in the chat. But again, I want this to be a participation thing. I posted over on I posted over on Instagram. I posted on Facebook. I posted it on TikTok. Hopefully we'll get some of those over, but right now we rolling with whatever it is that we roll with. You know what I mean? So we're not going to let anything slow this whole process down. One of the things that I like, and let me get my, for the bag, the carbon bank is what we're talking about right now. A 3 by 3 by 3. Wait a minute, we're gonna do a question and answer because I like the way we did that last time when we were doing the questions and answers. So if you watched some of my videos that were leading up to this live, then you're gonna already know these answers, but we just wanna have the chat to come in. Do we need 3? Bougie Prepper asks, do you need 3 each of the carbons? Technically, no. But for diversity of your pile, to make your pile better, more microbes, diversity is always going to be better. So what I like to do is I have like oak trees, sweet gum trees. Let's see what else I got around here. Just a number of different trees. Just any trees, just any leaves from trees. The more diverse that your pile is, the better your pile is going to be. So with the carbons, any leaves that you can collect. Now for me, here's something that I have right here. I have a 20-page shredder, paper shredder. And I got bags of this stuff. I brought one of the smaller bags outside. And I just want to see, this is how I'm able to get my pile to break down so fast. This is cardboard. This is cardboard from Amazon, everything that comes through the door. I got my son, my daughter here, my wife, we all order from Amazon. Well, this is what those boxes look like when they're shredded. This is a 20-page paper shredder. Let me see, and I'm gonna show you even like just how small these particle sizes are. This is what my particle sizes look like. All my paper shredded. So that's my biggest advantage with the 18-day composting. And then with the leaves, I'll run my lawnmower over it, bag it, run my lawnmower over it, bag it, and keep doing that. So again, the smaller those particle sizes, the faster it's going to compost. If you start putting stuff like wood chips in, that's good for keeping the aeration in the pile. But what that also is going to do is it's going to require more work for your fungi to break that down, because you're talking about your simples versus your more complex materials to break down. The simple things to break down are going to be stuff like your shredded paper. That's what your bacteria are going to attack. But when you start talking about the wood particles like wood chips, that requires the fungus to attack it. And that's going to be a slower process. That's why most of the time, if you're composting and you sift through your compost, you're going to find a lot of your wood particles still there, because the fungus or the fungi is what's responsible for the larger particle sizes in there. They're the heavy lifters. That's what your fungi are. Your bacteria, that's going to be the ones that break down the small stuff. That's what actually heats your pile up, your bacteria. So you go through several phases. Let's see, we go down here and read. Okay, I just put a bag of shredded paper in the garbage. Go get that bag. Go get that bag out the garbage, Bougie. Bougie says she just put a bunch of shredded paper in the garbage. Go get that bag out the garbage. This is what we're talking about, the carbon bank. You got to put it in the bank in order to withdraw. All of this stuff right here, this is my carbon bank. All of this is shredded right here. I got 4 bags of all of this stuff. That means we shopping too much at Amazon. That means we shopping way too much at Amazon. But again, a part of this whole thing is, as we get into the garden, and this is what we're starting to call our closed loop. We're starting to close the loop. That's the ultimate goal of where we want to get to, where we're not having all these outside expenditures to where we have to keep spending money to keep replenishing our garden. We can do this stuff ourselves, but we have to start thinking a bit smarter about how we go about utilizing our local resources. Again, the carbons, that's going to be your shredded paper. What I am suggesting to everyone, because I mean, everybody knows about how the job market is going now. The jobs are starting to go AI, automation, things of that nature. We got to start shopping local. That's one of the things that I like. So stuff like your local Starbucks. You can go up to Starbucks and they'll give you bags and bags of coffee grounds. That's where I get my coffee grounds from. That's local. Shop local. Places like another thing that you can add into your compost pile going into the fall, going into the spring, I'm sorry, is going to be not only your wood ash, but those chunks that are left over, crush those down and they become biochar. If you have any uncharged biochar, this is by far the ultimate way to charge your biochar in our composting process. You don't have, by the time you finish composting, you're going to have a compost that's going to last literally hundreds of thousands of years. Not just the stuff that we're putting in now, like we can build a regular compost pile with our leaves, grass clippings, coffee grounds, things of that nature. That's going to break down. The microbes are going to break that down, and then you're going to have to replenish that every year. But when you start adding in stuff like your wood ash along with the biochar, that biochar acts like a hotel for microbes. It houses moisture, it houses the microbes themselves. So you got to look at it like the example of biochar would be like a sponge, all the air pockets that you would see in your dish sponge that you use in the kitchen. The amount of water that you can just pour on the table, and then the amount of water that you can take and squeeze out of a sponge. That's a good example of the amount of biodiversity that's inside of that biochar. Those little bit of chunks holds millions and millions of bacteria and fungi. They hold water pockets. So one of the things that I use in my garden when I make my compost is biochar. I load it down with biochar. You don't have to worry about any carbon sequestration, because once you put it in your compost pile, all the bacteria, all that, they're going to colonize that biochar. And you just mix it in with your garden, that stuff's going to stay. It'll be there far beyond you start learning how to garden or where you stop gardening at. That biochar is going to be in that soil forever. So before we go any further into this, again, our light still ain't came on yet. Do we have any questions right off the rip? Support local mom and pop stores. That's right, Tammy Sherrill. That is what I'm going heavy on going into 2026. There's a little local grocery store, one of the last few That's a couple of blocks from where I live at. You wonder where I get my spoiled milk from? I go over there and I buy all of his used and spoiled milk. That's where I make my liquid whey. So these are things that I'm really focused on going into 2026. And for the life of me, I don't understand how, and like I said, I'm gonna try not to get too political on this thing, but I'm really a little disturbed on how we're like sitting around like sitting ducks. Like we have no say so in how the AI is taking over our lives. We actually do have a say so. We can push our dollars in a certain place. We can make certain purchases in certain areas that's going to support certain jobs. When you got places like these big tech companies laying off people by the thousands, we have to start thinking strategically and focusing our money in certain directions. This live thing where we're doing, creating our own compost, that's reducing our carbon footprint. Right off the bat, we're already not only just saving money where we don't have to go and pay, let's say Black Cow is a recommended compost that I like using, and I have used it and I will use it in the future. But Black Cow is something that I like to use. But in certain areas, I'm told Black Cow costs anywhere from $8 to $10 a bag. We can make that right here in our garden. Only thing we have to do is just be committed to just committed. What's going on, Kaysen? Thank you for coming in. If I haven't caught anybody, I see she just spoke, Kaysen. But again, my goal going into 2026 is closing the loop. This is something that you're going to hear me say a whole lot of here on this channel. Closing the loop, closed loop gardening. We can grow everything that we need to grow right in our garden that can support our garden. And then we're going to get to the seed sharing. I'd like to even put a little thing together to where we have someone within our community that's responsible for handling all of our seeds. We can stop buying seeds. I mean, all of this, I mean, I understand some of you like collecting seeds and buying from everywhere across. Get what's going to feed your family. It's cool to have exotic fruit out in your garden. It's cool to have 15 different varieties of tomatoes, but at the end of the day, one brand of tomatoes is going to make a tomato paste. That's really where the whole thing goes down to. Are you growing this for the show, or are you growing this for the grow? So I'm switching this whole thing up going into 2026. I'm so focused on being prepared for whatever it is that's coming. And not to put any personal information out there, I know some people already that have been affected by this AI layoffs, several people for that matter. So if you think it's not happening, you got your head buried in the sand. This is happening everywhere around us, and it's affecting a lot of our women first. And most of our women have been the backbones of our household. I come from a single family home. My mother raised 4 kids. So I can imagine if she didn't have a job there to support us through the whole time. So this is something that I am committed to, and showing my dedication to this community moving forward, to where whatever I can do to share whatever information that I have, whatever information I'm gathering, whatever information I'm coming into in the future, it's here, it's available for anybody who wants to use it. That's what this 18-day composting thing is about. This is about getting us geared up and ready to go to where we can grow everything that we need to grow to self-sustain ourselves. I got alfalfa growing on the other side. Alfalfa has a 6 to 15 foot taproot that goes down into the soil, mines all those rich minerals to bring them back up, and then we use that. We add that in our compost pile. Those are some of our greens. I'm growing, I always have to give my guy David Corey with the props for turning me on to the fava beans. Fava beans, if you have poor soil, growing fava beans is going to be the best thing you ever did to your soil. Fava beans actually add nutrients back into your soil, and they create a biodiversity as well as the biomass that's needed to turn right back into your soil. And there it is, where you're feeding those microbes, you're feeding the fungi. That is what feeds your plants. That's what we can do. We can keep buying this. I grow peanuts. A lot of people were asking, well, why am I growing peanuts? I make my own peanut meal. Peanut meal is a 822 NPK. Peanut meal that we grow right here in our yards. It's a 822 NPK. I have an oil layer inside where I can extract the oils from my peanuts, and I grind it up in my little coffee grinder. That's a 822 NPK. This stuff is available to us. They don't want us to know these things because that eats into their product, into their profits. But we can do these things. And fava beans, David Corey, fava beans are also called broad beans. Absolutely. David Corey says fava beans are also called broad beans, for those who don't know. And fava beans is something that we can grow in the fall. Like I said, I have to keep giving my guy David Corey with the props for, because I knew about fava beans before, but I was watching David Corey on his live one day, and he was out growing fava beans, and it was like December, I think it was, maybe last year or the year before last. And I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know you could grow fava beans in the wintertime. Fava beans are made to be grown in the fall and early winter. If you got temperatures that probably get down into the teens, fava beans will grow all season long. So here in Georgia Zone 8A, where I'm at, we get down to, on average, 22, 24. Thank you, what was that? Chew S, y'all gotta come help me out with these names. Chew SMBA. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, I really appreciate that. And once again, speaking of the super chats, I really appreciate that. These are things David Corey said was 2 years ago. That's right. So it's not that I'm saying that I know more than anybody in here. I'm here to grow just like anybody else. That's really what the whole name of this channel is, growing out the box. And it's me learning how to be me, not being ashamed of not knowing everything, because sometimes we sit in the back. I was that guy that sat in the back of the classroom, and because I didn't know all the answers, I wouldn't raise my hand. Well, that's where you're going to stay at, in the back of the classroom. Sometimes you got to step to the front and be willing to be vulnerable in order to move forward. And that's what I'm doing now, even with these lives. Yeah, it's a stumbling process. I'm getting used to what it is that I need to be doing to do the lives, but I want to be able to deliver something that just is slightly different than everybody else. And with these things, with all the stuff that I get gifted in from a lot of the sponsors that I get, some of these companies just send me stuff because they want me to advertise it in my videos. And of course, you really don't see me doing that. And part of that is because I don't believe in affiliate marketing. I just don't believe in it. That's why you don't see me on here doing affiliate marketing. Here you are, you're advertising product for someone and they're giving you pennies. I'm literally pennies on the dollar for you to advertise their product. And then all that is going over to their website, to their profit. And they're saying basically, you just get the free product. That's not gonna work for me. That's why I have growingoutthebox.com. That's what growingoutthebox.com represents for me. That's my way of saying I am my own entrepreneur. I'm trying to start this thing up and not just do it for me, but do it for everybody else, to encourage everybody else to start your own thing. And even with the composting challenge, people like Crafty Leo, who makes Crafty Leo is working on some things for me, so I'm going to definitely start shouting her out even more. She's working on some things for me, and we're going to keep that quiet until we get it. But some of the other people in the chats that make product, okay, boom, there's our lantern kicking in. There's our other lantern kicking in. So we got one more down here that needs to kick in and we into the live. But Crafty Leo, Unbiased LLC, who I met through Broke Farmers channel. So it's a community. And that's why I call you guys neighbor. So with that being said, anyone who's a part of this community and they have something that they make or they've created, something that they have to input into the community, and if you want to be a sponsor of the Growing Out the Box 18-day composting challenge, I am welcoming you. I am welcoming you. I'll help promote your product. Share it on my channel, share it on the live, share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook. This is not about me. This is about us as neighbors, a community, and we're going to need each other. And I'm already setting myself up to be in position to where I can do my part. The only way that this is going to make sense, we have to do our part together. I got my guy David Coyle with the crop. I know he's rocking with me, Broke Farmer. We're going to do some collaborations to where we're going to make this thing really make sense. So going back to, again, I'm loving this light. I got me a new light so you can see that the light is not as bright as the other one. Let me see if I can take it down, just change the temperature a little bit. Now y'all tell me if, because I want the ambience to be, I like that right there. Y'all tell me if that lighting is right for you. Because I want it to be nice and cozy. Lighter or darker? Looks good. Odom says it looks good. 18-day composting. David Corey with the crop. Broke Farmer say that YouTube light is fire. I just got that, bro. They just sent me that. I just got it yesterday, as a matter of fact. That's an official YouTube. Yeah, I gotta be, I'm a little proud of it. I'm proud of it. I got 233,000 followers on here. This is an official YouTube light. I don't know if you can buy it anywhere, but this was gifted to me by Google. This came to me from Google. So I'm proud of this, as well as my plaque, my 100,000 plaque. I am, and I'm gonna represent with it. But I share that with you guys because none of this is possible without you. I mean, this is really what it is. None of this is possible without you. And going back to the sponsors, anybody who has any product or something that they can offer to the garden community and they want to be a sponsor on the 18-day composting challenge, this is another reason why I wanted to get it going now. The carbon bank, we're putting it in the bank. We're storing it for the bank so we can take those withdrawals out later. And as long as you're putting that money in the bank, as long as you're putting something away for that rainy day, you're gonna always have something to take out. And that's part of what we wanna do with this 18-day composting challenge. We wanna talk about planning ahead and looking for those times where we're gonna need each other and we're gonna need the resources that we have from each other. And it all starts today. 18-day composting challenge, the carbon bank. We already talked about our shredded cardboard, a 20, what do you call it, 20 paper shredder is all you need for that. We got our leaves that we've already talked about. Let's see, so now that we're official, like I said, the lights are on now. So we're officially in the live right now. Got 61 people in here. I appreciate all of you for coming in. Seems to be that's our average right now. First time I've ever done a notification for the live, so I'm trying to get a little better at this whole process. And I can't say, but I'm really feeling this light. I'm sorry. I'm really feeling this light. I could change the temperatures on it. So that's bright there. But I like that because I got me one that has that same earth skin tone that the lanterns are giving off. So I'm really feeling that light. Okay. So once again, official like referees with a whistle. Okay, OCD-ish chick said official like a referee with a whistle. Absolutely. Warm, that's right. Skilts, I guess that's what that's called. Auntie's World, congratulations on the YouTube light. Yeah, it's just a light, but what it represents to me. You know, I think a lot of us came in, I know Broke said he came in 2020 with the gardening. Me personally, 2020 was a pretty rough year for me because it was the first time in my life that I had ever gotten sick, and it was because of 2020, and it was pretty rough on me. That's what ultimately led me to what is the garden now, you know. So sometimes we go through things and we think that it's for the worse, but it turns out to be for the best. Had I not gotten sick, I probably never would have started this garden. And that's just the truth of the matter. There were just a sequence of events that was happening back to back that just kept putting me back here in this little space now, my 6,400 square feet of what I now call the garden, which was just my backyard in 2020. The days that I couldn't really breathe, the days that I felt like I was one step away from calling the emergency, squad to take me to the hospital. Those days when I was worried about not coming home if I went to the hospital. Those days is what brought me out to this backyard. And one day my wife came in, she had watched Grow Family Network, put those little cinder blocks that they get from Lowe's or Home Depot along with the little boards in between it. And she and my son came out here, and I was sitting out here in, again, what's now the garden. And she dropped those things off, and she's like, hey, you said you wanted to start a garden? Now is the time. We were all off from work during that little time. And that's where it all started. Matter of fact, the first 2 beds that were in my garden are these 2 wood beds with those cinder block corners on it. I had no part in putting those together. That's how weak I was. I sat here and I watched my wife and my son put those together. So this has become a part of my lifestyle, not just something that I'm doing. And I'm taking it very serious, and now that things are starting to shift and we're gonna need each other that much more, this is starting to make sense to me. It really is starting to make sense to me. And it's starting to really serve as a purpose. What's going on, Miss Shirley OG? Thank you for coming in. So we're gonna get down to, again, our 18-day composting. This is what we're doing now. And David Coyle with the crops, thanks, man. That's really what this thing is all about, encouragement and inspiration. In my prior life, I like to say, my job was to teach people to be better at who they were. That was my job. I taught people how to be better at what they did. But somewhere along the route, I think I lost myself in that. And that's where the growing out the box came from. Just sometimes you invest so much into the people around you that you forget to nurture yourself. And I remember Nikki, the OCD's chick, she said that in one of her videos. And that's why she's one of my favorite YouTubers. Because sometimes we do. We forget about what happens when we are not good. And this whole garden thing was a big part of making me feel whole again. So I appreciate you guys for just bearing with me as I went through my whole growing process, as I'm going through my growing process, and just sharing the whole journey with you. These little things like this, they matter to me. They matter. You guys being in here, sitting here, listening at me talk about what we plan on doing together, that matters to me. It's just, it's a blessing. This entire journey from the day that I got sick to now has been a blessing. And I just want to say thank you all for participating and being a part of this whole journey. And as much of this as I can share with you guys, this belongs to all of us, which is why I wanted to do this participation thing as opposed to a competition like we would normally do a competition. I wanted to do it as a participation. You don't have to be the best at this, but you have to put in effort. That's what this whole thing is about. That's what this 18-day composting challenge is about. It's about challenging you to do something that maybe you've never done before and you may have doubted yourself. We're going to all work through it together. We're going to get through this together. So we're going to do our, the challenge is going to start. The minimum size to get that heated compost is going to be a 3 by 3 by 3. And that's in order to get that pile to heat up, being that we're doing the 18 days, again, it's going to be 4 days. We build the pile. You start with your carbons, which are going to be your browns. You'll layer it with your greens, browns, greens, browns. You'll go up like that until you get to your, probably want to go a little higher than your 3 foot because it's going to shrink. After 4 days, we'll turn around and we'll turn that pile for the first time. But before we turn that pile, we're going to measure our temperatures. So we're doing this thing official. We're going to measure our temperatures because we want to know where our temperatures started, which we're going to do as soon as we build our piles, and we're going to see where our temperatures are after 4 days. After 4 days, we should be anywhere from 130 to 160 on the temperature. That pile should heat up. It should be smoking. Even in spring, it should be smoking. That's how we're going to know that our pile is heating up. And then from there, I'm going to bring my microscope out and we're going to test our pile and see what our microbes look like under a microscope. We're going to be able to see what our fungi looks like. We're going to see what our nematodes look like. We're going to watch our nematodes eat our bacteria. We're going to see what's actually happening in our compost pile, and I'm going to show you that on the microscope. And then as we turn our pile for the next 14 days, every day for the next 14 days, we're going to show you what our microbes and our fungi looks like at the end of those 18 days as that pile starts to calm down. Now we're going to do a little question and how do we measure? How do we measure? You see, this is where my wife would have saved me at. So I'm gonna say, bear with me for one more second, and I'm finna show you how we're gonna measure. So again, the beautiful part about me being able to mic myself up is I can walk away from the chat. I can keep communicating with you. But what I'm doing is now, and I haven't listed them yet, but you can get these things off of, you can get them off of Amazon, or you can get them from growingoutthebox.com. And I'm slow about listing everything because I'm trying to do 100,000 things at one time. But, you know, hey, the show must go on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how we're gonna measure. Now, I have used one of those thermometers that you can use for your turkeys that you get from any of the, the big box stores. But what I would not suggest is that you reach your hand down into an active compost pile. Okay. Now, again, I'm saying I would not suggest that any of you reach your hands down in an active compost pile. Now, can anybody tell me why that's a bad idea? To reach your hands down in an active compost pile. I see Indiana in here. Lori Parks, what's going on? Thank you for coming in. Tammy Sherrill says, why not? It can get super hot, Mike says. Yeah, it can get super hot, but that's not it. That's not the reason why you do not want to put your hand down into an active compost pile. And it does get hot. You're talking about 160 degrees. Yeah, it's pretty hot. Degrees, disease and fungi. Lori Parks hit it on the head. Now, I don't know. Yes, it's active bacteria and fungi at its peak. So if you have a cut on your hand, scratch or anything, you can get an infection by putting your hand in an active compost pile. I've seen a lot of people do it. I do not suggest it. You can look it up for yourself. That's not a good practice. You don't want to put your hand in an active compost pile. Your compost pile is living bacteria, fungi, nematodes, arthropods. It's everything that's living in that compost pile. So when you put your hand down there, if you have a scratch or cut on your hand, that could be very bad for you. That can be very bad for you. So what we have here, this is how you measure your pile. Someone asked, how do you measure your pile? This is a compost thermometer, a 20-inch, this is a 20-inch compost thermometer. And what you do is you basically just run this down into the middle of your pile. And if you think about a turkey thermometer, it's simply a super large turkey thermometer. That's all it is. This is how you measure your pile. Old school. Put that in and that thing will beat up and you can see where the green is going to tell you. Let's see what those markings are. The green goes up to 120. When you get to the red, that's telling you that your pile is hot. So this is what's going to make this thing so simple. This is what's going to make it so simple for us, because our compost thermometer is going to tell us what our pile is doing. When you get to the green, it's telling you that your pile is heating up. When you get to that red, that's telling you that your pile is hot. That's where we want to get to, anywhere from that 130 to that 160. If you get up to that 160, you'll start getting to where some of the thermophilic bacteria will start to die off, and 160 is where you want to top that pile off at. So realistically, you want to be anywhere from 130 to 160. That's what these things, and it comes with a nice little sleeve on it, protective sleeve, just like your little your thing for the turkey baster. It's got the little hook on the side, so if you want to be fancy and snap it on to your shirt or something like that. But that's what it is. Comes out. You see the little probe on the end, so it'll just pierce right down into your pile. These are just some of the tools that I like to use. And I know, growing out the box, you be doing too much. Absolutely, absolutely. Because this is the only way. It's like I used to tell my son when we were working on the cars. It's so much easier when you have the right tools. You can have the concepts, you can have the principles, but when you don't have the correct tools, it's going to take you so much longer to do a simple job. Things like these compost thermometers, which are relatively cheap, and like I said, you can get them off of Amazon. They'll be available on growingoutthebox.com. I already have them. I just haven't listed them yet, just like I haven't listed my, some of my gear on growingoutthebox.com. Our pH meters, our refractometers, all of these things, you may say, well, we don't need those. Yeah, you do. If you want to be successful at, I want to say organic gardening. I remember Broke them did their little live when they were talking about there's no such thing as organic gardening. So we're gonna keep the whole organic gardening out of this. And we're gonna say natural gardening. If you want to get as close to natural gardening as you possibly can, the only way to know that these things are working, you have to almost become somewhat of a chemist, because we are dealing with live bacteria, live fungus, live nematodes, live arthropods. All of these things is life in the soil. That's why we focus so much on the soil as opposed to the plant. I showed you my plants the other day, very little to no insects. That's because the soil is doing that. I feed the soil. The soil feeds your plants. The healthier your soil is, the healthier your plants are. So going back to, let me see here, because I don't know if I'm keeping up with the chat. Y'all hit some more hundreds over here on this thing to make that thing pop up some more. Hit me some hundreds over there, some likes or something like that, so I can see if these things are working. Top chat. I don't know why this thing keeps popping from, it keeps going from live chat to top chat, which throws me off. All right. There you go. I appreciate that. Yeah. So now give me a thumbs up over in the chat if you can still see me, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm current with the chat. I'm not sure if I'm current with the chat. So y'all give me a thumbs up in the chat if I'm current with the chat. The last one I see down here is Nutra 3698. Good to know. Yeah, I'm not keeping up with the chat, so I'm losing the chat here. I don't know what happened. Live chat. There it is. Okay. I guess I froze for a minute. Lord Pox. Wow. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm in it now. Yeah. All right. So once again, some of the stuff that we're talking about are dry leaves. A couple of bags of dry leaves is going to be cool. Garbage bags. I think the 30-gallon garbage bags you want to collect up. Carbon in the bank. That's what we're talking about today, that carbon in the bank. Let's see, cardboard is something that we've already talked about. Wood chips is something that we've already talked about. Let's talk about some nitrogen. Like, what are some things that we deal with nitrogen? What are some nitrogen sources that we can use in our compost pile? What are some nitrogen sources that we can use in our compost pile? Yeah, my chat is acting up now. I don't know what happened. We was rolling good for a minute, then all of a sudden it wants to do its own thing. Coffee grounds, there you go. Your mama said coffee grounds. That's right. Even though coffee grounds are brown, they are actually a green. There you go. Somebody say chook poo. What is chook poo? I hope you ain't talking about boo boo. I'll tell you something else that some people may not kitchen scraps. That's right, greens. OCD is chick. Says greens. Green leaves. Yep. I grow also comfrey. So I know a lot of us in here grows comfrey. Comfrey is a great dynamic accumulator as well as a compost starter. Now, even when you're starting your compost pile, you want to have some active compost on hand just to inoculate your pile with. So that's one of the things. Chicken poop, that's right. Mike's Chaotic Garden, chicken poop is a good hot. Banana water, I don't know if we want to do banana water in it because I would do banana peels, but banana water, we don't want to add too much water into our pile because you want your pile to be pretty much like a wrung out sponge. You want it moist, but not wet. So we have to be a little strategic about how we water our pile. OCD says spent flowers. Yes, spent flowers. Cow manure. Yes, cow manure. And what I like to do is keep it real simple because not everybody has cows, not everybody has cow manure. And one of the negatives, and Hands in the Dirts was talking about this the other night on Wind Down Wednesday. I I think that was Wind Down Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, where he was saying he think he got some bad compost or some bad cow manure from somebody. That's one of the things that you may run into when you start outsourcing. If you don't have cows and you don't know what you're feeding, what they're feeding the cows, if you don't have chickens and you don't know what they're feeding the chickens, that's something that you want to really take into consideration when you start talking about collecting from somewhere else. And this is why it's so important to close the loop. Create these things within your own circle so you can have access to all of these things that makes composting simple for you, and you would know exactly what it is that goes into your compost pile. My leaves, I know I don't spray any of my trees with any insecticide. I know I can use my leaves. I can't say that about my neighbors. I know I don't spray any insecticides or herbicides on my garden, on my grass, so I know I can use the grass clippings in my yard. I can't say that about my neighbor. So this is why it's so important that we learn to do a lot of these things ourselves. Now, coffee grounds, you can go up to Starbucks and get your coffee grounds. That's going to be a real, Carol Wilson says pea. Now, Tammy, made by Tammy Sherrill, I want you to give a big smiley face in there because I actually, yes, I use pee on my compost pile. If you want to talk about heating up a pile, urine. And for those of you that may look at that and be like, no, I'm not sure about that. Urine, if you look at the back, and this is why in the beginning everybody was asking, like, why are you buying all these bags of fertilizer, this organic fertilizers? Because I like reading the contents. The beautiful part about the organic fertilizers that we purchase from the stores, they give you the ingredients that's in the fertilizer. So, I mean, we purchasing for convenience. It's kind of like Amazon. You know, Amazon is definitely not the cheapest out there, but we purchase it for convenience. We order it from Amazon, we get it the next day. Same thing with the fertilizers that we're purchasing from some of the big companies. We can make any of this stuff at home in our backyard gardens, but it's convenient to just order it offline. We can do the biochar, some of the best amendments that can go into our garden. We can do biochar right in our backyard gardens, but it's easier to purchase it. By the way, I got it on growingoutthebox.com. Just a little plug. But yeah, urine. My wife would probably choke me out for saying this. I probably got 3 5-gallon buckets of urine. Yes, I do. I use urine on my compost pile. Now, here is the thing. Urea. If you look at the back of any organic compost package, you're going to see the word urea on the back of it. What do you think urea is? So here I am. I'm relatively healthy. And I would say this is a caveat. You don't want to use urine if you're on any medications or any antibiotics. Any type of medications, you don't want to use that urine. But for some of you grandkids, grandsons walking around, they peeing in the garden anyway. I know as a kid, when I was over my grandparents' house, I'd go out to the garden. My granddad would tell me to go over in the corner and whip it out. That's what we did. So we got to stop being so touchy about simple things and I guess you might call it selective outrage, because these are natural things that we can use. What do you think they used back in the days to fertilize their gardens with? Urine, urea. So that is a super catalyst for going tea bags. Carrie says tea bags, absolutely. Is there a difference between male urine and female urine? OCD's chick asked that question. I would imagine that there is, but in terms of composting, as long as you're not on any medication, that is what I've researched. As long as there's no medication in your system, urine is absolutely a 100% go-to for heating up your pile. I would not put urine in my garden. One of the reasons why I would not put urine in my garden, because the salts in the urine will actually kill your microbes. And I've seen some people do it, and I don't know, how they're doing their entire garden process, but the urine will kill your microbes. And also, when you start overfeeding your soil with a outsourced nitrogen, which is organic, but you make your plants lazy. So they don't exchange sugars with the microbes that are in the soil. So what I like to do is compost it. If you put it, and I'm telling you, from experience, from personal experience, all my compost use urine. And I'm telling you, my wife would probably be choking me right now if she was home and heard me saying this. But that is the secret to my urine. That is the secret to my compost. The secret to the compost is human urine. When you think about you going out and cleaning out your chicken pen, what are you getting out of your chicken pen? Those wood chips that the chickens are urinating on, they're poo-pooing on. That's what you're gathering and you're putting into your compost pile. That's what we're talking about as fertilizer. When you see on the back of a compost bag, it's going to have chicken waste. What do you think chicken waste is? What do you think blood meal is? Blood meal is farmyard animals' blood that's been dried and powdered. Blood meal, that's what it is. Bone meal is just farmyard animals' bones that's been powdered and dried. So I don't understand the stigma behind using human urine if you know that you are relatively healthy and you have a free resource that you can add into your compost pile that's going to add to the nutrients of your compost pile, that's going to add to the nutrients of your soil, that's going to add to the nutrients of your plants, that's going to add to the nutrients of your fruit, that's going to create you a healthy ecosystem. It is what part of the white part of the chicken poop is pee. David Corey would know that. He has chickens. So it's it's like a taboo, but it is the real part of gardening. When we want to start talking about growing this stuff and again closing the loop to our garden, these are things that we have to start doing. I use dry blood meal and bone meal for my compost. That's Lori Park says that. JC Calamity says, good evening all. That's right. Like I said, we just got to really get into the mindset of closing the loop, reducing our carbon footprint. Most of our fertilizers come from places like Russia or Ukraine. We can grow all of this stuff right here in our garden. Like I said, I got comfrey growing over in my garden. I got alfalfa growing in my garden. I got, what else I got here? Tithonia diversifolia, which is something that I hadn't mentioned tonight, and that's the Mexican sunflower. Mexican sunflower. Mexican sunflower grows up to about 14, 15 feet with probably a 6-foot spread on it, one clump, one plant, lots of biomass. That's what you want for your fertilizer. That's what you want. Mexican sunflower has something like a 1.53. So it's very good in nitrogen and very good in potassium. Potassium is the highway that pulls all of those sugars, pulls all of that water up into your plants, and what gives it the strength to fight off insects, to fight off viruses, to fight off funguses. All of these things we can grow right here in our gardens. Closing the loop. 18-day composting challenge. Get your bank filled up. Grass clippings. Get your bank for your carbons, your shredded cardboard, shredded leaves. Start piling those up and go to growingoutthebox.com. Tammy Sherrill, if you could again, put that link up in there for the checklist that we're going to be having. And I just appreciate you guys for really coming in. And we're going to sit here and chop it up for a little while. And if you have any questions about the 18-day composting, And we're going to have some really good gifts for our 5 winners. And as I said in our last Lights Out Live, we may even have, just for that person that goes the extra mile and does create that awesome compost pile, we may have like a grand prize for that one particular person. But for the most part, our 18-day composting challenge is participation only. If you participate, you go through all the checks through the 18 days, you qualify to be in our drawing at the end. So, yep, growingoutthebox.com. Thanks, Mike's Chaotic Gardening, for posting that up. So, like I said, any questions? Supreme Green Lawrence, what's going on, man? Do it for dirt. That's what Skilt says, do it for dirt. Let's see here. Skills. You can dissolve eggs. This is what Skills is saying. You can dissolve eggshells with a bit of vinegar solution for calcium. Yes, absolutely. That's a calcium acetate. I have a video on my channel making the calcium acetate. That is absolutely correct. You can also do, well, I'm gonna save that because you can do also a potassium calcitate, uh, potassium, potassium acetate. You can do it. It's a way that we do that now. The way I feed my garlic, I'm going to show you guys on the next live how to take your wood ash, which has a pH around 12 to 13. You're going to be able to bring that pH down. We're going to show you how to test that pH to make sure that what you're putting into your garden is not going to throw off the uptake of any other nutrients that need to be uptaken, because that is very important when we start talking about balancing your pH in your soil. So scroll up and read comments. Okay. So now I'm going to, let's see. What am I looking for, Tammy Sherrill? Your work cannot go and leave you unsupervised. Carol Wilson said, your wife can't go and leave you unsupervised. I'm telling you, my wife would be out here trying to strangle me right now. You don't tell nobody nothing like that. You using urine in no compost. Man, you would have to really see her to think it is too funny when she reacts when I'm on these lives. We don't need box stores truly. David Cord with the Crops says we don't need box stores truly. And David Cord with the Crops, you are absolutely correct. Let's see, what else are we doing? JC Calamity says, my chickens talk and we use chicken poop in their egg shells. That's right, the egg shells. And that's what the other person was saying about using the, what they call it, a calcium acetate. That is when you take your eggshells and you mix vinegar with it and it extracts the calcium from the eggshells. That is an absolute good thing. But again, we can do that with our wood ash as well, because wood ash is predominantly calcium. But if you don't bring that pH down in that wood ash, then you're going to throw the pH off in your soil, which means you're going to be blocking out nutrients. So we have a way that we can do that and bring that the pH down. A lot of people ask me, how do I get my bulbs on my garlic so large? Wood ash, hard wood ash, not just wood ash, but hard wood ash. And I'm going to be growing persimmons going into the new year, 2026. Persimmons is one of the best hardwood ash plants that you can have. So so if you have persimmon trees and you're pruning your persimmon trees, that is some of the best wood you want to have for your hardwood ash. Next time we come live, we're going to be over here by the fire pit. Excuse me. Next time we go live, we're going to be over by the fire pit, and we're going to be making some of our hardwood ash, and we're going to show you how to bring that pH down and be able to use that hardwood ash in the garden. Let me see what else was, let me see, any other questions or comments made by Tammy Sherrill? Scroll up and read the comments. Let's see here. Live chat. Yeah, every now and again, I think I have to go and refresh my chat to keep up with everybody. So again, the question was asked, how do you measure your pile, the temperature? We got these compost thermometers, and they're going to be available on growingoutthebox.com. They're 20-inch compost thermometers. Our pile is going to be 36 inches by 36 inches by 36 inches, so a 3 by 3 by 3. This 20-inch compost thermometer is able to dwell down into the center, and that's what you want to be measuring, the center of your pile. So this is good to know about the persimmon trees. We have those on our property. Yes, persimmon, because you got to think about, I got my first persimmon trees last month when we went down to South Georgia, and we ran through the citrus nursery down there at Madison's citrus nursery, and they're now selling persimmon trees. But in doing my research on how to grow the persimmon tree, and we're going to be planting our persimmon tree after this frost goes, after this freeze goes through, we're going to be planting our persimmon tree in Georgia Zone 8A during the wintertime. It's one of the very few trees that you can plant during the wintertime and allow it to establish its roots so springtime she'll be up and running. But the persimmon wood was actually used for golfers. If you think about your golfing clubs, that hardwood was used on some golf clubs. So that was one of the things that made me say, wow, persimmon wood would be great for not only doing our hardwood ash, but also for our biochar. So I'm really excited about growing my persimmon trees. I have a Fuyu persimmon, and we're going to be growing that going into next year. And as we start to prune, those are going to be things that are going to be going right back into our garden. Again, closed loop gardening. That's what we're focused on right now. Let's see any other questions in here. Highlighted questions, Samantha Barks. How long do you keep the pea in the container? Now, Samantha Clark asks, how long do you keep the pea in the container? Samantha Banks, I'm sorry, asks, how long do you keep the pea in the containers? Well, like I said, if you are not on any medications, your pea is, I'm not going to say sterile, but I've had mine in, I store them for up to 3 months. So by the time I get to springtime, I'll be able to use my urine and my three 5-gallon buckets. Yes, I've been collecting for a while. We put off a lot of, you think about how many times you go to the bathroom a day. And if you got grandkids, a little grandson or something that runs around the yard, you can't tell me he ain't just dropped it out there and just start watering the grass. Tell them to put it in the cup. Tell them to put it in one of those 5-gallon buckets. I mean, these are natural resources that we can use and that have been used by our ancestors before all of this stuff became commercialized. This is how they grew. People ask, well, how did they grow back in the days? This is how they grow. What's going on, Farmer Marshall? Thank you for coming in. Let's see, any other couples. Is paper ash any good? You want hardwood ash. That is the best ash to use for your garden, hardwood ash. We got a lot of pine trees right here in Georgia. I don't really use the pine trees to create my hardwood, my wood ash, because I want hardwood ash. Hardwood ash is has more nutrients in it than regular wood like pine trees, softwood. You want hardwood ash. That way you're gonna have a pH in that hardwood ash is gonna be somewhere in that 12 to 13. Hardwood ash is predominantly calcium and potassium. Those are great resources. The only thing that I'm kind of leaking in right now when it comes to an outside input is gonna be my phosphorus. But because I use fungus like what is the thing, the mycorrhizal fungi, I use mycorrhizal fungi. That helps in bringing the phosphorus that's already in the soil up to the surface and allowing the plants to access it. So mycorrhizal fungi, that's something that you definitely want to get. Arbuscular is the one that I use. Arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. That's something that I use, and it will make your plants healthier. It's going to make your plants uptake sugars. It's going to make your plants uptake water a lot better. It's just going to make you have an overall healthier plant, a healthier garden. Let's see here. See if I can go down, update this thing again. So any other questions before we get out of here? I got to figure out why this thing keeps changing on me. It keeps changing on its own. There we go. Let's see here. Now, see if I get down to the bottom. Sorry I'm late. Carol Roberts. Thank you. Hey, better late than never. Don't forget to show us how to prune the persimmons. Well, Carol Wilson asked about showing how to prune the persimmons. Again, I just got my persimmons, so I won't be pruning them this year. I picked a very good plant from the nursery, from Madison Citrus Nursery, who's going to be supplying our citrus for growingoutthebox.com. But my citrus kind of looks like a fork, an upside down fork. Like if you got your hands out like this here, I got 4 branches that are already nice and leveled out for me. This is exactly how I want it. And this is how I have my plum trees. My plum trees all go out in like a open hand or an open funnel. And that's pretty much how you want your plum trees, your persimmons, all to have that open vase type structure to it. So I will be showing it when we plant it, because I think I'm gonna plant it live on the live. So once again, our 18-day composting challenge. It's snowing in Indiana. Will Part says it's snowing in Indiana. I'm sending no, don't send no snow down this way. Please don't. JT Jr., thanks for the live. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, because we are definitely over our time. It's a wrap. You see that my moderator made by Tammy Sorrell said, it's a wrap. That means cut it off. So I thank you guys for coming in. Again, go over to growingoutthebox.com. Even on this live, there's going to be the link for the check sheet that we're going to be using for our 18-day composting challenge. And we're going to be doing this thing, get your carbon in the bank. So when it comes time, springtime, and it's time for us to start going into this compost, everybody is ready. So we know what to gather. Our leaves, shredded cardboard, wood chips, as small a particle size as possible. So thanks, Broke, for coming in. We're going to say our goodbyes. Appreciate everybody for coming in. Appreciate everybody for coming in. Nikki, the OCD is chick. Lori Parks, thanks for coming in. Skelts, thanks for coming in. Made by Tammy Sherrill, Growing What I Eat. Dave Busby, Mike's Chaotic Gardening, thanks for being an awesome moderator. Where's G-Mama? G-Mama's been quiet in here for a while. Now listen, G-Mama still in here? Mary Groves with me, thanks for coming in. Let's see here. See who I missed on the way out. At Ronnie T919, I didn't see you come in. Thanks for coming in. Will Party 8535. Thanks for coming in. Farmer Marshall, thanks for coming in. Lord Parks, thanks for coming in. GT Junior Groves at Alaska, thanks for coming in. Caroline Roberts, thanks for coming in. Let's see here, Carol Wilson, thanks for coming in. Brent 3611, thanks for coming in. Samantha Banks, thanks for coming in. Seal Wilson, thanks for coming in. David Corey with the crops. Appreciate you, my brother. Matthew, thanks for coming in. We're going to get up out of here. I appreciate you guys. And as always, peace.